So I just restringed my whole guitar. And so, yeah, I might get out of tune slightly, but yeah, I just tuned it up. I just restringed my acoustic guitar, like, what was it, like this last half hour? It took me half an hour, I was surprised. I thought I could do 2 guitars in that time, but clearly not. Clearly not. It takes a half an hour to do a whole guitar. Okay, let's see here. What am I going to play today? I don't know. I haven't played some few songs in a while. Let's do brand new. It's been a while since we've done brand new. Here we go. Oh, fuck, my capo. It's all the way over there. Hang on, be right back. Oh, my God. You know, it's kind of a blessing in disguise that, you know, ping chord or like whenever the notification for going live is kind of late, so I can have this time to screw up. It's kind of nice. Okay. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do, what's a fun song? I don't know. I haven't done Sorrow in a while by Bad Religion. Let's do Sorrow. Yo, what's up, Young Drewski? Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. It's a pre-stream. Father, can you hear me? How have I let you down? Just saying what's up. Got to go to sleep even though I can't fall asleep. Oh, jeez. All right. Take care, Saying. Thanks for stopping by. If you saw the YouTube video, by the way, Satan, you know, hope you enjoy the Swedish impersonation I left in there. Anyways, do my own song. Okay. Let's see here. Hey, you're a California man and he's Swedish man. Let's label each other on. I'm Canadian man. Okay. Let's see. Let's do one of my songs. Sure. We haven't done Linger in a long time. Let's do Linger. Let's do Linger, everybody. And slit their throats. Hey, what you doing here? You're supposed to be out there luring friends so we can play doctor, making our incisions, gathering organs. What do you mean you don't like these thoughts? Just let it linger a little longer now. You're gonna tell Susie she's gonna play the hider so you can seek her. Then you're gonna pull out your knife and watch her run into the forest screaming. Then when she feels that she's lost you, she's gonna hear in her ear, hi. I wish I could tell you that little Susie got out safe and sound, but we all know well that's a boring ending, not worth telling. So I'd like you to imagine what happened next, and just let that linger a little longer now. What you imagined was really a memory, because you killed Susie. That was Linger by me. I made that song. All right, let's get to the stream, everybody. Welcome to the stream, everybody. We got some Dr. K on screen. Hope you all enjoying this. He's like, whoa, Blue Ranger Peter on the left side of the screen. Oh my God. Okay. Enough with the memes. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Today is the, well, what day is it? Today is May 18th, 2021. Today's the first quote-unquote episode where I'm going to try and put these on YouTube. I'm going to do basically, welcome. This is basically, what did I call this game? Oh yeah, HealthyGamer DLC. Now, HealthyGamer GG is the channel run by Dr. K, who is a therapist, psychologist. I always forget which one, but he helps people online doing interviews, and I love listening to these interviews. I'm very into the human experience, and I love hearing how he helps people solve their problems and dive deeper and catch, you know, their problems in their own words. It's very, very awesome to watch therapy, quote unquote, in action. So this is HealthyGamer DLC. So basically, we're going to listen to the entire interview, and anytime I have something to interject, I will pause and add my own take. I do accept you guys, if you want to type some kind of opinion in chat, go ahead. I'm going to try not focus on too much on what you guys are saying unless it's like unless I ask or something, just for the sake of because this will go on YouTube for the sake of it just being more streamlined, that's all. And these interviews are 2 hours long, and so if I'm pausing and stuff, it's going to add half an hour, possibly an extra hour. So we're looking at most, a 2.5, maybe a 3-hour stream today. So it's all about chill. I think I'm going to be just playing some Minecraft in the meantime. I actually don't even have a video game open, so let me actually get a game open before we start anything. In the meantime, I hope everyone's been doing good. If we got some lurkers, welcome lurkers. Usually we don't, but it's all fine and dandy. Okay, so let me get Minecraft going. Oh, I whoever's here, I assume Young Drewski and possibly anyone else. I actually started a Minecraft realm, and I'm gonna leave it open. It's in the testing phase, like I'm in the trial period, so I just want to test it with a few friends first. I mean, there's nothing much to test. There's just you just fucking play in the game, but I digress. The whole point of what I'm trying to say is that what am I saying? Is that I got it going, basically, and I just want to see what it's like, inviting people and all that stuff. So, yeah. Okay, you're gonna sleep? All right, have a good nap, Young Drewski. Yeah, I know this is not an exciting stream. I thought because I announced my schedule today, make it Bedrock so I can play also. I can't it's John, I can't make Bedrock. Yo, Capico, welcome to the stream. Hope you had a good day, week. Yeah, I started a Minecraft realm. I haven't told anyone until this exact moment. I thought just, might as well share for the people who show up to this stream. And yeah, so actually, Capico, I actually wanted to know if you could come help play with me, basically. Or even Skins McKenzie if they're around and all that stuff. Because I don't know, I just want to make sure I can invite someone properly. So when I ask people on the Discord to come join it, it's all proper and I don't fuck it up. So anyways, let me get some Minecraft going. I will. Ooh, where is my mouse? My mouse doesn't exist, apparently. Uh-oh. That's no good. That is no good. Uh-oh, what the fuck? I can't find my mouse. Dude, fucking epic. Come on. Okay, video settings. At least I could see where my mouse is. This is kind of fucked. Okay. Okay. Now? Oh, no, not now. No, we're just doing these next 2 hours. We're listening to a Dr. K therapeutic interview. We're not doing that right now. This is really, sorry for not having things ready. I actually didn't even think about having this stuff ready ahead of time. Where is video, full screen and all that shit? Where is that? What the hell? Graphics fast, smooth, blah, blah, blah. GUI scale. Oh, God. Oh, no, not auto. I mean, yes, auto. Uh-oh, that was not good. Moody, dynamic light, shaders, details. Other? Is it an other? Yeah, full screen. Okay, turn off full screen. Cool, cool. So I can play Minecraft while we're doing things. It's all fine and dandy. Let's get the Chrome thing. Let's move that over. Let's get the Chrome. Moving the Chrome. It's best not to have a background that says May is gay. This kind of like defeats the point of trying to do something proper and nice around here, right? So yeah, we're gonna keep Dr. K over there. Let's see here. Actually, we're gonna try and side view this too. Okay, Dr. K is over here. We're gonna actually do a small player. Oh, it's already did a small player. Cool. Okay, so let me see here. I'm just trying to set things up, people. Sorry, this is the first stream. This is getting edited down for YouTube, so it's more easy to, enjoy. But yeah, so let me see here. If we just cut this down to this, and it's mostly audio anyway, so that like we don't have to worry too much about, certain things and all that, blah blah blah. Okay, so let me just get that going. Let me get Minecraft on the screen. Minecraft, come on, show up Minecraft. Where's Minecraft? What the fuck? Where's Minecraft? Oh, fuck. I have Minecraft grouped with fucking the video. Hang on. Sorry. Boomer here. Boomer talking. Oh, God. Okay, Minecraft, reset position. This is not going good. We're gonna get there eventually, people. Hang on. Oh, God. Center to screen. No, reset. Oy vey. Yeah, in the meantime, hope you guys have been doing good. It's starting to get really fucking hot as hell lately, so that's kind of interesting. Finally getting hot weather around here. Okay, so for some reason I can't see Minecraft. I have to select it, maybe? Maybe it will show up now. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna reselect Minecraft. This is weird. Okay, it didn't select it properly, that's why. There we go. And then Minecraft should show up any second. Any second now. Come on, Minecraft. Where's the Minecraft? Come on now. Oh, come on now. Can I change the screen size? Yes, I can. Oh, there we go. Wait, why was it all fucky? Why is it... Oh, that's why. Hang on. Okay, hang on. Reset Minecraft. Sorry, it's giving me some weird technical difficulties right now. Reset transform. Reset. This is so annoying. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to take it out because I have it organized very interesting. Okay, there we go. Fucking if I take it out of that group, it's all fine. I have to reset that group, maybe that's why. Transform, reset, transform. Maybe if I put it back in the group, it'll be fine. Okay, it's fine. Okay. Stretch to screen, transform. Stretch to screen. Okay. And then we got Chrome. There we go. Very nice. Oh, not that. Okay. Chrome, please. Lock that. Give me you. Dr. K, sit down here, my friend. Thank you. Healthy. And it's Healthy May. It's, what was it say? Mental Health May. So I thought any better time to start this would be good is now. So here we go. And today we got Bjergsen on today's episode. Well, his episode. I feel like I'm talking. It's like it's my show. It's not even. But so, yeah. So I'm kind of just playing Minecraft, listening to Dr. K, and yeah. I thought it'd be good to have Bjergsen be the episode. I'm feeling it because it's called toxic productivity, something I deal with a lot, where it's like I don't know where to stop sometimes, and it just fucks up my life sometimes. Like, you're trying to be perfect at everything. It's all fucked. Okay, so here we go. So let me see. So Dr. K thing is on. Undo that. Let me make that a little bit tighter. Yeah, this is a Twitch stream, so nothing is ever professional, which pisses me off about how, big streamers, I mean, they're big streamers. I don't have to care too much, but it annoys me a little. Anyways, okay, so let's get this going. So we're going to have chat up here at the top above my thing. Let me change my goal of the day to, what's my goal of the day? Lots of things I should have thought about ahead of time. This is episode 1, people. Episode 1, so I'm very rusty. Add to the conversation. That's the goal of the day. Add to the conversation. So, yeah, we're going to listen, we're going to learn, and I'm just going to be playing a random Minecraft, nothing crazy. And, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I am going to be playing on Creole of Paradise, but it's like, I'm kind of just hoarding shit. There's nothing really exciting going on in this world, so don't worry about it. Maybe all that shit. Okay, so let me make that a little bit smaller so we can see at least the center of the screen. And here we go. Okay, so here we go, everybody.
I think we've still got Nihachu on Wednesday and Asmongold on Friday. And today we're going to be talking with the Bjergsen. Bjergsen.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And what do you go by?
Soren, typically.
Soren. Okay.
Soren is good.
And you can call me Alok or Dr. K, like, whatever you prefer.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on, Soren. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm nervous, but I'm good.
I think most people
boy.
usually are, and I still don't know quite what to do about that.
I wasn't expecting this. The game is lagging like heavily. Whoa. The whole everything is just lagging on my end. Okay. Well, again, the first episode, so this is kind of interesting. Okay. Thank you for bearing with us here at Blue Ranger Peter's shitty house of nothing set up properly. Okay. Geez, this is not going well. I don't know why it's probably using up a lot of resources. That's why it's kind of like junking on it right now. I think I'm gonna have to play Minecraft in like normal mode without Optifine. I think that's the problem here. Because maybe Optifine is like really chugging it down. So, okay, let me see. Is the stream? No, it is lagging for me too. It's not just you. So let me actually run a better browser, maybe even because Chrome's pretty heavy. No, I already got it set up. Let's keep Chrome there. Okay, let me just try to close as many things as I can in the background. I'm trying to quit Discord. Put a whole bunch of shit. I do not need Vanguard on. Yes, continue. And okay, so then we just go into pumpkins. Let's okay, we don't need that to be HD, so let's bring that down to 360p. And let's bring back Minecraft. Hopefully Minecraft won't chug my computer again. Okay. Okay, so let's get back on Minecraft. I can't use Optifine this time around. Who cares? Play. Okay, so we're just gonna let it play now, just like kind of test, see how it goes, if it's lagging or not. I gotta take off that wallpaper, goddammit. Okay. When am I upgrading my PC? I don't know, man. My PC seems to be fine. I'm only gonna upgrade it when like it makes sense. I don't know. When I get I don't know, enough money to upgrade it. Everything else is more of a priority right now, so I don't know. Okay. Okay, so we're still trying to get Minecraft going. Oh my god. Okay, so let's play some. We're gonna play Dr. K just to see how bad the lag stays, or if it goes
There's
away
only
at
so
all.
much you can do, I think.
Yeah. So what are you
Okay,
nervous
so it's
about?
lagging pretty hard right now. See if
Just
it
being
fixes
vulnerable
itself.
on such an kind of open platform. I mean, that's the kind of beauty of it, but that's also, I guess, what makes me nervous, at least.
Yeah. And are you planning on being vulnerable
Task
today?
Manager.
I think it's kind of hard not to be on your channel from the talks that I've seen.
Well, yeah, the fair point. But we can help you not be vulnerable.
Ooh, my
if you don't want
CPU
to.
is being used at 100%.
No, I mean, I think being vulnerable
Holy
is a
fuck!
good thing.
Okay.
100%? That doesn't make
Well
any
said.
sense.
Well said.
What the fuck?
And did you have an idea of what you wanted to talk about today?
Okay, I have something on OBS that's really fucking me
I
up.
have an idea of maybe where we can start.
100%. That is not correct.
Go wherever
Okay,
you
wait.
can.
Maybe if I start playing, it'll fix itself a bit. That is insane.
You can see me now.
Yeah. So
Sweet.
Back to
yeah. So
game.
where would you like to start, Soren?
Oh boy, hang on.
It might be hard for me to kind of vocalize this because I haven't really told anyone, but
Okay, booting up in the world. Let me make the video graphics.
In League of Legends, whether you're pushing or playing, there's a very distinct like on season and off season.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I just make it full screen,
really hard in the on
again.
season, and then you have a lot of free time. Sometimes even kind of months where you're not doing,
Just do it.
where you're not really working.
We're still in the testing period, everyone. We're not
And
actually going with this.
I feel
Oh,
sometimes like I'm
why
two
can't I
different
see my
people,
mouse? It's so
especially
weird.
in terms of the things that I really miss in season are the things that I feel like are really different. Are especially.
Is it going to try and capture?
I don't really have a lot of
this?
feelings during the season. I'm
really surprised how shitty
robotic.
this is going.
Okay.
This shouldn't be happening.
Good things,
any of
bad
this.
things. I'm pretty stoic.
Okay. It should show up here.
And that feels pretty different when I'm off season. I'm definitely more in touch with my emotions, I feel like.
Okay.
Okay.
Things are better. CPU usage is still pretty high.
Creativity, I guess, or seeing things from a different perspective. Being more aware of my surroundings and kind of aware of myself even. In the season, I feel like that kind of goes away, and I'm really just grinding, and sometimes I don't really have a good perspective on how to solve issues or see things in a different
back on.
way. And
my sub goal doesn't seem to be affecting anything. Okay, so I thought maybe that could be an effect.
Times where I'm able to just be more aware
so I
of
think,
what I'm doing and how
I think
we're
okay. It's actually running pretty smoothly.
and working and trying to do my job. the
I think
best that I can.
okay, we fixed everything. Okay.
Okay, so
As
let
long
me
as
just,
I play Minecraft in full
kinda
screen
repeat
mode,
back
it's
what I heard,
pretty
make sure
good.
we're on the
It's
same
pretty
page.
good. Okay.
Um,
Okay, let's back up. Okay, so finally, stream was still lagging. The video audio is fine, but you and the game is gone. Okay, so it should be fine now. Actually, when was that post? When did you just make that comment? I can't check. I can't check when that was posted. Oh well. Oh, that sucks to be me. Okay, well, this should be okay. If it keeps lagging, guys, let me know. Oh, hey Benji, nice nuts. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. I hope you had a good day, good week. We're just doing a mental health stream. We're listening to a Dr. K 2-hour interview, and we're adding to the conversation. And it's all about mental health. That's all it is. And so we're listening to Bjergsen, who's honestly he's been a guy I've been following, like not following, but like I've noticed him every now and then because he's a big name in League of Legends, right? And I'm like, oh, it's Bjergsen. Even like back in 2012 when I first got into League of Legends, it was like, oh, okay, these are the big guys. Like, was it Night Blue? I think Night Blue was a big dude. That's when I first discovered Cowsep. He's not an MLG guy, but you know. And then, yeah, so then you got Bjergsen, who's been in the game for a long time, and that guy. And I don't know, anytime you go to the top League of Legends streamers, YouTubers, whatever, he's always around there, no matter what he's doing. So it'd be very interesting to see his perspective on toxic productivity going on through through his life. So let's see. Let's listen.
I think we've still got Nihachu on Wednesday and Asmongold on Friday. And today we're going to be talking with the Bjergsen. Bjergsen.
Let me actually run one more thing so I can mute myself when possible.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And what do you go by?
Soren, typically.
Soren. Okay.
Soren is good.
And you can call me Alok or Dr. K, like, whatever you prefer.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on, Soren. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm nervous, but I'm good.
I think most people usually are, and I still don't know quite what to do about that.
There's only so much you can do, I think.
Yeah. So what are you nervous about?
Just being vulnerable on such an kind of open platform. I mean, That's the kind of beauty of it, but that's also, I guess, what makes me nervous, at least.
Yeah. And are you planning on being vulnerable today?
I think it's kind of hard not to be on your channel from the talks that I've seen.
Well, yeah, the fair point. But, we can help you not be vulnerable if you don't want to.
No, I mean, I think being vulnerable is a good thing. It's just a difficult thing.
Absolutely, man. Well said. Well said. And did you have an idea of what you wanted to talk about today?
I have an idea of maybe where we can start, and then
sure.
I'm happy to go wherever you kind of see the conversation going, or any observations that you might have.
Sorry, 1 second. Sorry.
You can see me now?
Yeah. So,
Sweet.
Yeah. So, where would you like to start, Soren?
It might be hard for me to kind of vocalize this because I haven't really told anyone, but so in League of Legends, whether you're coaching or playing, there's a very distinct like on season and off season, and people grind really hard in the on season, and then you have a lot of free time, sometimes even kind of months where you're not doing, where you're not really working, and I feel sometimes like I'm two different people, especially in terms of the things that I really miss in season are the things that I feel like are really different, are especially I don't really have a lot of feelings during the season. I'm very like robotic.
Okay.
Good things, bad things. I'm pretty stoic.
Okay.
And that feels pretty different when I'm off season. I'm definitely more in touch with my emotions, I feel like.
Okay.
And the other thing is kind of just creativity, I guess, or seeing things from a different perspective, being more aware of my surroundings and kind of aware of myself even. In the season, I feel like that kind of goes away, and I'm really just grinding, and sometimes I don't really have a good perspective on how to solve issues or see things in a different way. And I have had that sometimes during the season, and I feel like those are kind of some of my best times where I'm able to just be more aware of what I'm doing and how I can kind of optimize the way that I'm living and working and trying to do my job the best that I can.
Okay, so let me just kind of repeat back what I heard, make sure we're on the same page.
Sure.
First of all, Soren, this sounds like very intriguing to me. I'm um, it seems like an observation that I actually have like imagined very few people actually have the awareness to sort of make. It seems like a very kind of it seems like you're aware of your internal environment and how much that can change drastically between the on season and the off season. Is that a good way to put it?
Mm-hmm.
And so you've noticed that you maybe don't feel a lot of things during the season, and then the off season, are we saying that you feel too much or you feel a normal amount or what?
A normal amount.
Okay.
I'm not kind of bursting at the seams as soon as the season is over, but
Yeah, okay.
more kind of natural things like I'm able to kind of cry when it's appropriate during the season.
Okay.
I'm kind of very just stoic, I guess is the word that I would use.
Okay. And that you also mentioned something about awareness and how you're able to see things differently during the off season, and that maybe you're not quite as aware of things during the on season. And then you also said that sometimes when you have been aware during the on season, that it's been actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
Can you help me understand that?
I think it's just the times where in the on season it was really helpful for me. It's just really.
I just want to add, like, yeah, what Dr. K said, it's very interesting that, you know, someone robotic can catch the roboticism. It could be the fact that he's such, you know, League of Legends being a pro gamer is something that's only been around since, I don't know, like 20, 30 years or something, but like, you know, gotten really popular in the last 10 or 15 years. So maybe perhaps like for someone's like of his stature, his proness, it's like, he's gone so analytical in his mindset with playing a game. When he gets off it, it's such a contrast to his life. It could be that he has a girlfriend, he has family, his parents, you know, like someone he interacts with that really brings out the fact where his logic can't apply there, you know, that type of thing. So it'd be interesting if he starts bringing stuff up like that, you know. It's like it's just like it gets in the way of his, you know, in touchness with like just letting go and not worrying about the best thing, right? So let's see if the conversation goes that way.
Really being aware of team dynamics or the issues or how we can improve the way that we are working together or talking to each other, or it's obviously really flexible when you are aware of those things. But I think a lot of people in the League of Legends scene can really, just talking to people, they feel like they get really lost in the sauce during the season and they just end up kind of going through in the motions and kind of doing the same things over and over again. And then after the season is over, it's like, wait, what? I was just doing this thing kind of over and over again and not really able to reflect and see things from a different perspective. And I very much feel that same way.
I'm noticing that there's a lot of autopilot once the season starts. It's just grind, grind, grind.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the beginning, people are motivated and excited and trying new things and more creative.
It's almost like he's a soldier coming back from war. It's like once you get home from intensity, it's like, what do you do now? It's like it's hard to adjust back to normal life. It sounds like.
And then kind of as the season goes on, as the months of grinding goes on, I think a lot of things become more automated.
How do you understand why that happens?
Maybe just the sheer amount of hours. I'm not really sure. I mean, I didn't have a day off from late December till like the second week of April. Of course, I had time off, but I didn't have a kind of day off to myself. So I think obviously the time where you're away from the game and the time where you're doing different things and away from the team, I think that definitely gives you kind of a different perspective and more time to self-reflect.
That sounds insane, man.
Yep. Yeah.
This may sound like, and you know, I don't want to, if we skirt close to anything that could be like, you know, sharing internal secrets or things like that, please steer, you know, I'm just going to ask you a question. Just let me know if anything I ask is out of line. But yeah. How on earth do you not have a day off in 4 months? How does that work? Why?
Well, I think most people do is just, I'm the head coach, so on the typical off day, I'm usually watching our matches for the weekend and preparing them for our meetings next week. I'm having meetings with my staff. I'm having meetings with my general manager, head of esports, and also CEO. So
That's on your off day.
yeah, because it's hard to fit it in on my on my work days.
Okay. Well, Soren, I know this may be a little bit different from what you had originally said, but I think that may be worth talking about. What do you think?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it could be worth talking about.
What makes it hard to fit in meetings with your CEO and general manager on your work days?
No, I mean, I definitely could in the evening. It's just a lot of the time I'm pretty pooped. Just from, I think a typical work day, we meet up at 10, and then we're kind of done with team practice around, it's either 6 p.m. or maybe 8 p.m. And then on some days of the week, I'm having kind of individual meetings with the players, and the last day of the week going into matches, there's also always a lot of prep around kind of different aspects of the game, the opponent, the draft, and I'm responsible for a lot of that. Not the prep for the opponents. Luckily, I have a strategic coach that helps with that, but it's just hard to fit things in, and I also need to have a little bit of off time, obviously, on those days, or I kind of might lose my mind.
Yep, absolutely. So let me ask you something. What would happen if you missed 2 hours of team practice on Monday?
Monday's actually our day off, but yeah, on Tuesday, I don't know what would happen because I haven't tried. I mean, sometimes I do ask my assistant coach to take over for me if I'm just really exhausted, or if I just want a different perspective, see someone else lead meetings and review. But I haven't been away from practice at all.
What keeps you so close to practice?
I mean, I'm a new coach. This is my first 5 months of coaching, so I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do. And I just feel like I guess I need to work harder than everyone else because I'm so new in coaching. But I still want my team to do. I don't want to hold my team back. So I guess I just want to make the most of every opportunity to learn and grow and become better. What are you smiling for?
Oh, Soren. Okay.
Shit.
You're damn right, shit. Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit, okay? So, sorry if did I just make you nervous by smiling and saying you're damn right, shit?
No, I mean, I know I definitely have a little bit of a maybe toxic productivity kind of mindset.
Tell me what... Okay, what do you mean by toxic productivity mindset? Can you help us understand that phrase?
I don't really know how to phrase it.
Okay.
Maybe you can help me there.
Yeah. Is it okay if we dig into this today?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you that question 2 or 3 more times because I suspect that we're going to get to feelings that may feel actually uncomfortable. And my concern is that you have such a toxic productivity and growth-oriented mindset that even if things are uncomfortable, you'll never say no.
Well, a big part of why I'm even here is that I'm just trying to get outside my comfort zone more.
Okay.
And I guess that's
because you're trying to grow, right? Because screw your comfort zone. Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's what I'm saying.
Gotta grow, whatever the cost to you.
A little bit.
Okay. I think that's what toxic productivity. I've never heard that phrase before, but I think it's well said. Coined well. So let's start with this, okay? I'm going to lay things out and then we're going to explore. And the reason I'm going to lay things out is because I'm imagining that there's a part of your mind that's really, really concerned about like stepping into a trap of some kind. You mentioned you were nervous. I think you're going to have a tendency to set aside your own feelings for the sake of growth. So I'm going to try to alleviate this a little bit. It's not usually how I work. Usually we'll have the revelation at the end, but I'm just going to give it to you anticlimactically at the beginning, and then we're going to explore it. And the reason I'm going to do that is that I hope it'll put your mind a little bit at ease.
Okay.
Okay. So the first thing is that, you know, I've seen this a lot. So I've worked with a fair number of esports organizations before, and not just esports, but basically any high performing top tier, like 0.1% organization you go to. So I've seen this at places like Harvard Business School. I've seen it at hospital systems, you know, tech companies. There's this idea that more is better. So for example, like in residency training, like we do like 24-hour calls, we do 30-hour calls. There's this kind of this idea that like, you know, if you work 80 hours a week or working 100 hours a week is better than working 80 hours a week. You know, that working more is better. And I've struggled a lot to sort of like get people to experiment with this. And I'd say the hardest uphill climb I've ever had to make, which I failed to make, was working with a Korean Overwatch team. And
that's going to be a challenge.
And they just didn't like accept that working less could lead to better results. And this is where, and I've managed to convince some people that actually, like, you know, rather than doing team practice for 12 hours a day or 8 hours a day, that doing team practice for like 4 hours, 6 hours a day, and doing like an hour of meditation and yoga and an hour of like something else actually leads to like better outcomes than just grinding. What do you think about that?
I think one of the most difficult things about the game that I was playing professionally for a long time and I'm coaching is that it changes a lot. That really rewards the grinders because the game is always changing a lot. So you always need to adapt and figure out what's strong, what counters this new thing that's strong. This thing that was powerful, it's now been made maybe 5%, 10% weaker. Is it still viable? Which situations is it viable? So it really rewards grinders, and honestly, the biggest grinders are the most successful in League of Legends.
Okay.
So it does require putting in a lot of hours, but of course, up until a certain point.
Yeah. So and this is where ultimately you're the expert here, right? Because I don't know how many hours of grinding before you start hitting diminishing returns. It's generally speaking been my experience that people tend to overemphasize grinding, and I don't know really and each esport is different, but it's been my experience that most of the time, like in 80% of the esports orgs I've worked with, that de-emphasizing grinding usually leads to better performance. That being thoughtful, it doesn't mean that you're not thinking about the game. It's just being thoughtful about your practice is actually better than like grinding.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But that's not where we're going to go. What we're going to go...
Then what I would say when I was a player is, why can't I be thoughtful while grinding?
Yeah, okay, so there it is. Okay, so why would you say that as a player? Where does that come from?
Because that sounds like the best of both worlds. You're kind of getting all the benefits.
Right.
Being more deliberate in your practice, but also...
shooting for the best.
Yeah.
Okay, but what we're going to talk about is you feel like you have a lot of catching up to do.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you felt that way?
Wow.
I just want to add that, like, you know, as someone who's a Twitch streamer, you know, trying to do this for just, I'd say, you know, 2 years realistically, like trying to take this seriously, or at least 1 full year minimum. You know, you hear in his voice, Bjergsen, he asks him the question, how long have you felt this where you're just always feeling behind? And it's like, for him to be like, wow, and like just not realize it, or like whatever he's going through, the fact that he has to pause is like, wow, I don't have the answer right away and it's not obvious and I never thought about it. That's what it kind of tells you. And it's like, even for me, it's like, holy shit, there's all these things, you know, you got to think of. It's like, where's the line between I need to know what other people are doing versus knowing what other people are doing is hindering my stance, my progress, right? It's like, it's a tough line. And it's kind of insane to notice that like someone like Bjergsen, who's been a pro for so many years, him asking that simple question, he's realizing that like, wow, that feeling is kind of, I'm going to assume he's going to say that feeling has never went away, because it never really does. It's an illusion, right? If you're always feeling like you're behind, you're always looking at the destination instead of the journey, right? If you're pushing a boulder up a hill and you're constantly looking at where the boulder has to go instead of pushing the boulder, chances are focusing on not the boulder itself is going to make it worse and make you fall behind because you're focused on something else instead of the present moment's task, right? So, but you know, some people power through that. Grinding possibly is what adds to that. Like, he still has a success from that. So that's where I'm going to go with that. So let's keep listening. Let's see his answer to how long has he felt that way.
In general, I assume you mean more in general.
Yeah.
We're hitting the big stuff. I don't know if it's the big stuff, but it's pretty public. I made a Facebook post many years ago that I was bullied really heavily in school, from 4th grade till 8th grade, when I actually dropped out of school. And dropping out of school kind of caused me to play a lot more video games, which somehow turned into a job, which somehow brought me where I am now. So
Mm-hmm.
I was really fortunate in that sense, but I was kind of in and out of school for, I can't remember how long, because honestly, a lot of my young past is kind of a blur at this point. But I was in and out of school for a long time. I pretty much didn't leave my room. I didn't see anyone outside of my family, and had a lot of anxiety interacting with other people. And even when I started going to esports tournaments, I felt just like very underdeveloped for my age. And even coming to the US here when I was 17, 18, I wasn't really able to upkeep a conversation with another person. The only thing I really knew was the game, and that's what I dove into. And I think at that point, I definitely felt like I'm, I guess, underdeveloped for my age, like my life skills, my social skills, these kinds of things. And it was super uncomfortable, but I just tried to still spend a lot of time with people and learn how to be a normal person.
Screw your feelings, right?
I don't know. That's a difficult one. I mean, when I was listening to my feelings when I was depressed, they were just telling me, don't see other people, stay in your room, play video games all day. And it was really when I guess, just really got outside my comfort zone and went to an esports event in Sweden, met my teammates in person, which was really terrifying because I was really deeply insecure. But then my team got top 8, I think, and then we actually qualified for the LCS when LCS was starting back in season 3. So this is maybe 8 years ago. So we qualified for LCS, and then that really got me the job as an esports player.
So you have to work harder than everyone else.
Yeah, I think I always felt that way. I never felt like I was super intrinsically talented. I always felt like a lot of my skill came from my work ethic.
I think that's certainly true. By the way, I loved your answer to screw your feelings, because you were like, it's tough because sometimes my feelings tell me to stay in my room and not interact with anyone. And you've had to learn how to master your feelings at times.
And they still do tell me that sometimes.
Wow. Okay. And then you also said, I don't want to hold everyone back. Can you tell me about that?
I just want to add, like, I'm like, this is the reason why you watch Dr. K. The fact that he picked up on that, like, that's the thing when you're a therapist, right? You got to pick up on what words people use. So he picked up on that. It's like, sorry, what was the? He picked up that, and I forget the exact language he picked up. Hang on. So
yeah, they still do tell me that sometimes.
Wow.
So Dr. K said.
Then you also said, I don't want to hold everyone back.
I don't want to hold everyone back. It's like when you catch on to phrases like that, those are like statements, like general statements or truths that come out. And it's like I wasn't really looking for that, but that's why, you're a therapist. You know the basis is of like anxiety, depression, anger issues, all sorts of things like anxiety, blah blah blah. So it's just like my mind. So like, how do I put this? Bjergsen was like talking about all that stuff, right? And my mind was going, it's like, oh, he felt insecure. He felt he always had to catch up. He was bullied relentlessly. So being told constantly externally that you're not good enough. So he felt that was a truth in his life. So then once he found something that made him feel good, he doubled down on it and tried to make it productive. And like he's saying, it's like, oh, I'm afraid to go out. And when I'd feel depressed, I'd just play games and keep going into that. He just got so good at games that it almost in a way justifies him keeps playing those games, right? Especially when you're a pro. Now, the fact that he's a pro and making money off of this, of course, might not be a bad thing, but it seems to have been rooted in I am uncomfortable being in the world because of how much rejection I felt from bullying, it seems so far. I don't know his full story, right? I could totally be reading this wrong, but it's like that is the open unknown. I don't enjoy that. It's making me depressed. I'm going to stick with something that makes me feel good, makes me feel like I have control. I know what I'm doing, and I can be better at this. I know I can do something well here, and no one can tell me I am objectively bad at this. This is a truth I can work on and have succeeded at. The other stuff, too painful. I had too much painful of a past, brings a bad subconscious trauma. Like trauma, not in the terms of like something big. It could have been something big for Bjergsen, but like in terms of like bad thing shows up, triggers in my brain, this is the bad thing, and was like, oh, my reaction should be avoid, right? So it seems that from a young age he's developed that, and then, in a good light, it's brought him to being a pro player, but in the bad light, here we are talking about toxic productivity and how it's kind of skewed his view of himself of never being good enough, right? So, but he's still a pro, right? And there's a lot of pros that have this, where they got to feel like they got to keep catching up, because from a young age, they were told, you are not good enough, you got to work harder. And it's like he worked harder because that was the more comfortable thing to do. Not the easier thing to do, but the more comfortable thing to do. So let's keep listening.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I think the natural progression of a coach is kind of to start coaching maybe individual players and then maybe coaching an amateur or academy team, but I went straight from playing LCS to coaching kind of a top tier multi-million-dollar team. So I just don't want to hold them back with my inexperience.
Do you feel underdeveloped?
Do I feel underdeveloped? I feel like I don't have a ton of experience yet, I would say.
So
does that kind of answer your question, or does it not?
I think it's a very artful dodge. That could be an answer if I wanted to accept it as one. And I'm not, if it's an answer, it's an answer. So if your answer is no, I don't feel underdeveloped. What I feel is inexperienced, and there's a difference. Because I think the other challenge here, Soren, is that I think that, what would you say to that?
Oh, I just don't understand the difference between the two.
Okay.
Inexperienced and underdeveloped.
Okay. You would say that those are the same thing.
In this coaching case, I definitely will develop with experience. Of course, It's not the only thing, but yeah.
Yeah. So here's my concern, is that as long as you feel like you have catching up to do, you're going to act in a way that alleviates those feelings. And the challenge is that there may come a time where you have caught up, but just because you've technically caught up may not actually have anything to do with the feeling of having caught up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm concerned.
It's also, yeah, you don't really know when you've caught up, because I also don't really see other. Yeah, I mean, it's just a hard thing. It's not a very linear thing. Like, oh, now I've caught up. Now I have these skills.
Exactly. So I see you putting yourself into like an unwinnable proposition, because you're never going to know whether you've caught up or not, and you're going to be like driving yourself forward because you feel like you need to catch up. And even though, and I know this sounds weird, so like sometimes, Soren, people who have your complex, for lack of a better term, these people who feel like they're underdeveloped, feel like they have to work really hard, feel like they've fallen behind, they will like work so hard that they'll actually rise. I know this sounds absolutely crazy. They'll rise to the top of their field. And sometimes even in video gaming, for example, there are like 20 million players in this game called League of Legends, and they'll actually rise to a top tier team in a professional League of Legends capacity. And they still feel like they have catching up to do. I know it sounds absolutely crazy.
No.
Right? So what does catching up look like?
Can I ask, is that such a bad feeling to have, or do you just think it's kind of a deep-seated, like you don't ever feel like you're enough? Is that kind of the?
Is that how you feel? Like you never feel like you're enough?
I don't ever think that, but if I think that I can always grow, maybe.
Yep. Well said. Right? So I'm not hearing that you really.
But I don't have really negative self-thoughts. Like I'm not enough, but I do have like, oh, I need to be better.
Yep.
That's kind of what I think a lot.
Yeah. So I think that's a very, very good man. You're very nuanced, Soren. So there's an important difference between I'm not good and I could be better. Right? I suspect that those are two sides of the same coin, and I think that always striving to be better can come from a dissatisfaction with who you are. I personally think that's what you've got down there. I think you've just put such positive psychology language around it. Like you just talk about growth, but like I do think that there's fear and other negative emotion. Like I don't want to hold everyone back implies to me that if I really had to guess, what I'd say is that in your mind, you're afraid that you will hold everyone back. And that's why you have to work harder than everyone else, because your teammates don't deserve to have someone like you hold them back. They deserve to have someone who can really like live up to expectations and like be the coach that your team needs and the coach that your team deserves. And you're going to work really hard to be that thing. But I think that there's still a fundamental like fear underneath there that you're like, you have to work really hard, because deep down, if you just autopilot it, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
So then you asked me the question, is that necessarily bad? Because I seem to be placing a judgment on it. What do you think?
I guess maybe this is not what you're asking, but I guess I feel like a lot of the time the way that I spend my life or live my life on autopilot just doesn't really make me happy, I think.
I think that's
I think I waste. It's I get like sucked into things very easily, like social media, and obviously those are built to be addicting. But if I wasn't kind of pushing myself to be a better person and to live life more intentionally and use my time wisely. That's why I have this stupid skull, because it reminds me that I don't live forever, and I try to make the most of my days. It's a little bit morbid to have it in my room, but it does help me, especially when I have a hard time getting up in the morning. But
why do you have to make the most of your days?
For Dr. K to ask that, or what, like, he says I need to have a skull in my room, so it reminds me I need to make the most of my days. And then for Dr. K to ask, well, why do you think you need to make the most of your days? Dr. K clearly has something in mind. He's got a path he's trying to uncover in front of Bjergsen right now. So it's like, oh, so he's just trying to get him to notice something, right? It's kind of like what you do. You say someone's words back to them, and like, well, wait, that seems like an abnormal thing for anyone to be saying about their situation. Why would you put yourself in that situation? It's like, then the more someone actually reflects on what they just said and the language that they use and don't think twice about it, it's like, oh, I believe this, or I have this, and it's like, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. I can, to be honest, I could kind of pretty relate to what this guy's going on about. So I'm assuming he's going to say, like, if to be reminded of the end, because I used to try and do shit like that. Like, I write a poster saying, like, oh, you're going to die if you don't change something. Like, I literally wrote that one time. Like it was supposed to be like a metaphorical thing. Like, your spirit is going to die, right? It's like shit like that. It's like you have these reminders because you feel like letting yourself waste time is a negative, and you're just like making it worse for yourself, right? It's that insecurity of never feeling good enough or not catching up, blah blah blah, in whatever it is you're trying to be good at, or just in life in general, right? So let's go on.
Why do I have to make the most out of my days? I think it just makes me feel fulfilled. And it's not like all I do is work, right? It's even just being more intentional about even like spending time with other people. I think when I live life very much on autopilot, I also isolate myself a lot. I'm definitely pretty introverted. And if I'm not kind of making myself get out there, then I isolate myself very much.
Can I think for a second?
Sure. Take your time.
Can you tell me about bullying?
Tell you about bullying. What do you want to know?
So you mentioned that you dropped out of school in 4th grade?
8th grade.
8th grade. So can you tell me about what happened between 4th grade and 8th grade? What school was like for you?
It was really bad. Looking back, I don't know how hard I was being singled out compared to kind of how sensitive I was, because my parents always told me that I was a very sensitive kid, especially compared to my brothers.
I just want to stop right there. When someone says my parents said I was more sensitive than my brothers, hearing that at a young age from your parents, it's like, this is a truth you then build into your psyche. It's like, my parents tell me I'm more sensitive, therefore I'm going to always believe this about myself. Keep that in mind at least, It's like, that doesn't help, because, your parents are technically the quote unquote gods of your world when you're at your youngest age, right? So if as you're growing up, they're saying something like that, or quite often even, that's not a good thing for especially his situation right now.
But I felt very singled out by some people in my class, by my teacher at the time. I felt like he was
especially a teacher. If a teacher is singling you out, that's a really bad situation. Just wanted to add that. because now this is an authority figure that did not grow up with you in the home, but someone who is, of authority that you should respect just as much as your parents, but you're finding out another truth about yourself you're not enjoying. It's like, that's kind of fucked up.
Somewhat bullying me or singling me out. But of course, I was a kid, so I don't know how much that is true, but that was very much my reality.
What do you remember?
Mm. I don't remember too much, to be honest. I remember more so like in 8th grade when people would, when the bus was coming, like steal my backpack and hold it until the bus left. So I would have to go home without my backpack, or I would have to stay, and then I would end up walking home a lot. But it's like, it's like a 5-mile walk or something, 4-mile walk. And just being bullied a lot for being skinny, especially. I was a really, really skinny and short kid, so bullied a lot for my body weight. My school was kind of up against the kindergarten, so they would throw me into the kindergarten because they said I looked like a kid in kindergarten because I was small and skinny. That was really fucking painful at the time, for sure.
Underdeveloped.
Oh, it all comes full circle.
I tried to map things out for you, so I didn't spring it on you, bro.
That's fair. I didn't even.
When you have something that's toxic in your life, that's pretty, a belief about yourself that's bad, or some aspect of yourself that's clearly toxic or is inflicting pain on yourself without you understanding why. Like, it seems to be, like, I've listened to a lot of Dr. K interviews that 9 times out of 10, it's linked to belief that was made when you were younger through an experience of some sort of trauma or abuse, even as small, and when I say abuse, I mean, like, even as small as, like, your parents saying you're not good enough, like, once a week. That's still technically considered abuse, right? It's like these bad negative beliefs that are thrown at you at a young age. It seems to be that, like, that's what Dr. K is doing, right? He's asking, okay. And the thing is that at the start of the interview, Bjergsen is talking about, like, oh, I mentioned I used to be bullied. I feel like I'm living 2 lives, It's like, whatever, and all Dr. K asks is, like, tell me about your problem or whatever, just generally. And whatever words comes to Bjergsen's mind, right? Dr. K is listening for anything he can latch onto to dig deeper. Like, basically, Bjergsen is giving him metaphorical doors for him to open, because clearly Bjergsen would not mention any of these things, just, obviously, if you're bullied, you obviously mentioned you've been bullied. That's, like, somewhat of a given for, like, this type of situation where we're trying to get mental health help and all that stuff. But the fact that, like, whatever comes to your mind subconsciously when you're trying to think of answering the question, what is your problem, what could be a factor, it's like, usually the mind is a good way of, like, saying it out loud, but not being able to catch itself saying it out loud, right? So that's what Dr. K is here for. He's like latching on to those words, those key words, like, he's been bullied in school, underdeveloped, blah blah. He just, it came full circle, like Bjergsen said. So it's like listening to what the person says out of random, no influence at all, no questions asked, just the start of the conversation, latching on to potential holes that seem to be unique to this person's experience, and diving deeper. And most of the time, the problem seems to be stemming from there. And the person with the problem is giving the solution, the path to the solution, without even realizing it. This is why everyone should do therapy, even if they don't have deep-rooted problems. Chances are you do have a deep-rooted problem, but, like, it just goes to show it's impossible to really see your blind sides and catch your own, deep-seated whatevers, So let's keep going.
Realize that as I was talking about it.
Yeah, I'm just going to cry quietly to myself for a second, okay? Yeah, let me ask you, what all right, Soren, we're just getting started, buddy. So when this thing happened with the backpack, like, what did you tell anyone?
I don't think so. Because That was in 8th grade, so I think back in 6th, 7th, 5th grade, I would tell my parents, and then they would want to contact the school, contact the principal, contact their parents. And of course, when you're a young kid, you care a lot about being cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always the kid who. So there's kind of like the popular group of kids, and I would always try to tag along, but I was never really a part of that circle. So I would be the kid that's getting picked on in the popular circle. But I so desperately wanted to be a part of that circle, so I didn't want my parents to talk to their parents, and obviously it's really silly now, but at the time, the
Is it
social
silly
status
now?
is really important. Mm,
Doesn't sound silly to me.
well, I think if I was who I am now, I would just. There's a lot of kids at the school try to find people who
Okay.
accept me and that I could get along with. You don't have to be a part of the most popular clique in the school.
Sure. Well
So in
said.
that sense, I think I would have done better if I was. I definitely admired the kids who, kids would get picked on for drawing or for doing things that were considered nerdy, but they were really, they knew what they liked and they knew the kind of people that they were. And I guess I was more so just trying to fit in. So, in hindsight, as I got older, I have a lot of respect for those kids who are able to be true to themselves and what they enjoy, even though it's not cool or it's not what most people.
Okay, based on what he just said there about he saw kids who were bullied for being, drawing, or like artists, I was going to say, or like drawing or their own little passions. And like he was saying how his thing is that he was just trying to be fitting in. He didn't even have a thing to be true to. He was so desperate to find something to be accepted versus these people who were, trying to draw and being artists or whatever in their classroom and then being bullied for their drawings. It's like they're like the people drawing are doing something they're passionate about, they love. It's like that's their focus, that's their need. They're comfortable doing that. That's their goal. Him, it sounds like he didn't have one, or he did, or maybe he could have developed one. I don't know what his case could have been, but essentially it's like he was still under the level of finding a passion yet, that his emotional need to fit in was more important. And I think to these other kids who probably had a passion, again, the example of a kid drawing, it's like that kid probably at home, whether it's influenced through parents or friends themselves, it's like they felt they fit in somewhere. So check mark, check, that's done. I don't have to think about that. Let me get to my drawings. Or there is also the flip side to where a kid doesn't care about that, and it's like maybe has developed enough confidence in themselves to not seek that, right? The check mark doesn't seem to be that, yes, okay, I'm accepted by people. It seems to be, I'm okay with myself, and whether I get accepted or not is irrelevant, right? And for him, it seems like before school, it doesn't seem, it seems like the bullies at school kind of just amplified something that was already there from the sounds of it. That's what I'm taking from this. And that it's like he was given this he felt he just didn't have the need, he was fitting in already. And then so when school, that was just amplified, it just became worse for him, right? So, and then became self-destructive, as he's saying. He's hung out with popular kids only to be bullied, but he kept hanging out with them because they were popular kids. Bad, vicious cycle. Anyways, let's keep listening.
Like to do.
Mm-hmm. And I know this is going to be bouncing. What?
No, it's just funny when you smile. I feel like you're like, oh, okay. This makes a lot of sense.
What do you think is going on in my head right now?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't really tell you.
I just want to add there the fact that Dr. K smiled and that invoked a reaction in Bjergsen. If you're talking to someone, you're giving them a little bit of therapy, whether you're a therapist or not, you're just listening and talking and helping them through their problems. When someone out of nowhere, a reaction to what you're doing, right, has a reaction themselves and has this need without holding back to, like, he just laughed. He couldn't help it. He just like, oh, I saw your smile. It's like, oh, you had a haha moment. It's like, that meant something to him. He wouldn't have said any of that. He wouldn't have had that reaction if it didn't, like, trigger something deep in him, right? In his head, subconsciously, blah, 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 in his heart, whatever. Something about him smiling to that his story, whoever he was saying, it's like, okay, so Dr. K wants to open up his mind and be like, okay, that there was something there, something got you triggered there emotionally. Let's explore that. And he did that simply by asking, what did you think of my smile? What made you? It's like, that's when someone does that, someone has a visceral reaction to whatever you're doing after admitting something, especially after admitting something very deep or important. You definitely want to tap onto that. So it's like, that's, you're in emotional territory. You want to explore why a landmine just went off, right? So let's keep going.
Do you like being fulfilled?
It feels like a trick question, but yeah.
Okay. It really wasn't a trick question. It was just sort of a, I know it's certainly, I can see what you mean in terms of, I'm trying to let you know well in advance before I lay out a trap for you. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay. How would you feel if I could give you a pill that would make you content? Would you take it? Actually, maybe that's a bad question, but let's just hear your answer anyway.
Something Dr. K is looking out for is that he wants to know how Bjergsen will react in these situations. Earlier, when he was asking about when someone stole your backpack, did you tell anyone? He's looking to see what Bjergsen did in that situation, because that can further explain like what came out of the reaction of that situation. Because if we go back to that, someone stole my backpack, or they took my backpack and I had to go home without a backpack. It's like, Dr. K asks, did you tell anyone? He's basically asking, okay, so how did you react with the situation? How did you try and solve the situation, or did you try at all? That will gauge like whether this person's hopeful or not in the situation, what he thinks is right, who he can go to for help, right? Who he feels comfortable through. And it's like if he didn't, I thought he was going to say I didn't really tell anyone, because he kind of said that, because he said he said a few times he told his parents, the parents told school, blah blah blah, but he didn't want the parents of the cool kids getting involved. So it's like he's being told negative things from his parents, from his teacher, that he's different, he's sensitive, blah blah blah. He's got to catch up, he's underdeveloped, and then he's put in a bad situation where he's being bullied, and then if he's not going for help and doesn't get a positive reaction out of that moment, that just might even further reinforce the idea the negative stuff is true, right? So let's keep going.
I feel like, of course, you would want to say yes, but I guess I'm worried that it's a complicated question.
Yeah. What's complicated about
it? Because of course you want to be, sorry, what is the word? Content?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I just worry that I might kind of let myself go, but also, does that really matter if I'm just content? But then I would probably also die young, because I would just not exercise and not do these kinds of things that are going to make me a healthier person. But I'm definitely overthinking the question.
Nope, I don't think you are. I think you're.
So I don't really know. I can't really tell you.
You may be underdeveloped in many ways, Soren, but I don't think you're underdeveloped in your thinking. I think you're a very precise thinker. So I've got kind of a fork in the road. One is, we can get more to what I'm pretty sure is some sense of, okay, here's what I'm hearing, okay? So I'm going to try to once again avoid pits. But I'm detecting what I will call pit Soren. So there's like a Soren who's like stuck in a pit. And this is the Soren that maybe was bullied, maybe dropped out, maybe was isolated, maybe felt underdeveloped. Like you were kind of in this dark place, and like it was really hard to like be you. And I think that, like, on paper, you've crawled out of there, right? Like, I mean, here you are, head coach of a very popular League of Legends team. You know, you have a pretty respectable professional career behind you. You've clearly landed on your feet. You've got you're rocking a pretty awesome beard. You know, there are a lot of things about you that are like you can really be proud of.
Just adding that it's real important to notice you could be the most professional guy in the world, but it doesn't fix your internal problems, right? External does not fix internal. I'd say, I don't know exactly the ratio, but I would say always go internal before you go external, because that's what most people do, because it's more easy. Now let's listen to the rest of his analyzation here.
And yet, you don't strike me as someone who's like, and I think this is where things get really tricky, because I think you are proud of what you've done. I think you have grown, you have matured, and I genuinely don't believe that, like, you know, I think you really do appreciate that. But then you've got that skull in the back of your room. and then, like, you know, it's one thing to want to live every day to your fullest, but you have this weird thing where you need a reminder, and you need a graphic reminder. Because what I see in that skull is like a fear that unless, like, if you ever slow down, you're going to be back to pit Soren. That you've climbed fully out of the pit, but you need reminders to keep you striving. And this is where you kind of say, like, is that a bad thing? Is, like,
reminders that you could be reminders that, like, you don't want to be the self you're running from, basically, is like what he's doing to himself. You don't want to go back to who you are deep down. Fucking keep going.
like feeling like you're not good enough or wanting to grow. I think you've cloaked it in positivity. It's absolutely adaptive. It's absolutely responsible for your success.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a fundamental lack of fulfillment there. Like that can't exist with fulfillment. And anytime you start to feel fulfilled, I think you look at your skull over there and it reminds you that you're going to die one day, so better start feeling unfulfilled because it's time to grow. Like, we've got a lot of growing to do, and, like, we can't stop growing, not even for a single day. Heaven forbid that I take a day off in 4 months. Because I have so much
I would
growing.
like to.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think you would. So what gets in the way?
A lot of it is just my work schedule, so I think I wouldn't be able to give you much more than a practical answer.
No, but that's an impractical. That's not a, because your work schedule is determined, I think, right? So this is where, like, I'm going to toss out a hypothesis. Usually I wait for hypothesis formation at the end, but I think it comes back to this feeling like you have a lot of catching up to do. Right? So, like, you can't afford to take a day off. That's what if I had to piece things together, that's what I would think based on what you've said, is that you don't have the luxury of a day off.
This is just an important reminder that, again, through therapy, sometimes the therapist could be completely off, but have a sound solution because, you know, perhaps the therapist has learned, you know, the most popular, what I'm trying to say is the most common solution to a problem or source. So it's like, it's a very important, this is why it's a dialogue. It's not someone says something, the therapist talks at you to fill your problems spaces out and fix your problems. No, this is why it's really important to listen back, repeat back what your theory is about their problem, and then obviously that's how much the person will react to that theory and be like, yes, that is about 100% correct, 80%, 20% you're way off, you know, type thing. This is really important, right? Because if he does come back and say, this is way off or like only half right, then you got to dig into why that was half right, right? And then I think that's actually not so much of a hard thing to do. It's just you get them to just start talking about that. And you know what? Even with Trainwreck, I was watching a interview a long time ago with Trainwreck TV, and he was like dealing with this loop of a problem. He couldn't, like, Dr. K was trying to get him to see something, but he kept talking in loops. And it's like, why does he keep talking in loops? And then he mentioned something about him growing up with friends and like being super rough with them. And it's like, wait a minute, that's why he didn't like, that's why he wasn't coming around to Dr. K's side, because he thought this abnormal thing in his life was normal. That you should be very rough with your friends and mean and shit like that. And so as soon as we realized, oh, he thought that abnormal thing was normal, that's why it was hard for him to see what we're trying to get him to see. It's like when someone has normalized abnormal experiences, that's kind of why you should dig deep into, not why your theory is wrong, like as a therapist, but like, it's like, what am I trying to say here? It's like you have to just ask. You have to double down. You have to get the answer. You have to just get them talking. If there's no solution being found in your theory, you need to get them keep talking and dig deeper, or in different spots they don't think it exists, but you might find something in, and make them accidentally say because they thought it wasn't that big of a deal, but you got them to say it because you kept asking. So always checking your theory. It's a dialogue, not talking at, talking with, and unearthing things that the person with the problem just can't see. That's all. And some can't see more than others, and some things are believed to not being seeable at all and being invisible, have become visible because the person has turned it invisible in their life. Anyways, let's keep going.
Partially. I think also just at least this is what my kind of ex-girlfriend told me, that being a head coach is a very, very time-consuming job, and if you want to be good, you do have to put a lot of time into it. And maybe it's more so that the kind of person I am, I found myself coming into this role. Does that make sense?
So
I found myself coming into this job that maybe fulfills this drive or insecurity that I have.
what do you think about that?
There might be some truth to it. I mean, I enjoy responsibility, for sure. And you have a lot of responsibility as a head coach.
Yeah, it's interesting to think that, you picked a job that will always make you feel like you have more to do.
Yeah.
Is that sort
Very
of the
much so.
implication that
He picked a job that forces him to keep working to better himself, because technically in a game like League of Legends, it's always changing. You can't be the best if you stop and take a minute. He's running away from himself. He can't stop and take a minute, or else he'll become himself again. So League of Legends, hey, keep changing, keep improving, keep yourself busy. Don't think, don't enjoy yourself. Keep going. And that's the only way you'll be on top, or enjoy and quote unquote fulfilling, right? In terms of what you're getting out of that work. But even himself has found that fulfillment is a red herring, right? So
that your ex-girlfriend was making?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Maybe, but I don't really see playing as too different. I always had that mentality when I was a player,
Sure.
that there's always more that I can do. But
And-
of course, I try to balance that as well with other maybe things that are healthier for me.
Yeah,
I wasn't
and
just playing 14 hours a day.
so let me ask you this: do you feel underdeveloped in other areas of your life?
Yeah, I would say so.
Like what?
Or I'm kind of unsure about it. If you asked me years ago, I would say yes. But now I think I realize a little bit more that a lot of adults or mid-20s people are kind of winging it, and
Yeah.
they don't.
Well said.
Whereas I definitely have an issue of kind of comparing myself to others, and
Okay.
thinking that they have their shit together and I don't.
Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of goes back to this like idea that we were touching on earlier, that like I think you've started to realize that you may not actually be underdeveloped, but you carry that feeling with you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you felt like sort of behind socially too, maybe around 8th grade or after you dropped out of school or when you met your teammates, that you felt like very nervous.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that feeling or what was in your head?
What was in my head?
That was a super vague question. So let me ask it this way.
It's kind of difficult to answer.
Yeah, it was way too vague. Terrible question. See, I could do better. Can you tell me a little bit about like what happened after you dropped out after the 8th grade?
I don't remember exactly, but in Denmark you have to finish, I guess, high school like 9th grade. So I would be gone for a bit, but then I don't know if I want to say the authorities, but people came to my house and talked to me and talked to my parents. They're like, you have to go back to school. It's part of the law. So I would kind of go back to school, drop back out, back to school, drop back out. Here comes the underdeveloped, maybe. And around this time, I was diagnosed with a nonverbal learning disorder, and I started going to more of like a special needs school with just less students, and a lot of them were kind of on the autism or Asperger's spectrum. And yeah, it was just kind of hard for me to fit in. I didn't really feel fit in at the regular school, and I didn't really feel like I fit in at the special needs school. And now that I've grown older, I feel like there's a good chance that it was a kind of an inaccurate diagnosis just based on being in a really deep depression. I think that really changes you. But whether I am or have that or not, I don't really know. But it was really tough on me at the time.
How did you feel? What do you remember?
How did I feel? I want to say the first thing that comes to mind is that I felt like my life was over. Yeah.
Soren, how would you?
And I'm not sure why I felt that way, but
yeah, totally. Good answer. And
I remember also feeling that way when I first realized I had to wear glasses, because that was also apparently a life-ending thing when you're a teenager.
yeah. How would you feel if you missed 2 hours of practice?
Week, maybe?
Help me understand that.
I guess in a sense that is kind of saying that I'm unable to kind of cope with the stress of the job in my free time. So I have to take literal time off of practice.
Have you felt weak before?
Yeah, I mean, I think being human is being weak in a lot of ways. And years ago, I always, as a player, I really kind of idealized the Korean Chinese work ethic which is like sacrifice everything, play all day. You don't need to exercise. You don't need relationships. You don't need balance. You just need to grind. That was maybe 4 years ago, maybe even longer, maybe like 5-6 years ago. That was really kind of what I strive to be. And then as I got older, I realized I'm human. I should look out for.
Sure, that sounds very healthy. I mean, in terms of, I guess kind of what I'm hearing, Soren, is like, when I think about, so what exactly happened with the kindergarten thing? What did they do? They like
Threw me over the fence.
Yeah. And so I didn't quite understand, I couldn't quite paint a picture in my mind, but like when I think about, so I was bullied a lot growing up too. And if I had to describe one word, I'd never thought about bullying this way, but if I had to describe like one word, or if I had to pick one word to describe how I felt, it was weak.
Yeah.
So like this is where, you know, I feel like I'm really leading more than following in this interview, which is like arguably a mistake, because generally speaking, like I should like listen to what you have to say and then like form a hypothesis, but I'm seeing like a pretty clear chain here. And it may be hard. I could be wrong because I'm really not doing a good job. I'm not following the rules of normally how I approach this, but I mean, here's what I'm hearing from you, Soren, is that like you carry this like fear of weakness with you. And that like you won't relent at all for fear of like being back in the pit. Like you're not going to go back there ever. No one's ever going to throw you over the fence. You're never going to be weak. They're never like it's never going to happen. Like you've been there before, and and this kind of comes back to the question of, I think you've paid a price to be where you are. And that price is having that skull on your piano, right? It's like
do you mind if I ask something?
Yeah.
Do you think that this is something I can change, or do you think this is just how my life has shaped me to be?
Do you want to change it?
I don't know. I mean, I like who I am.
I think you do.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you said, is this something you can change?
It's funny because it's funny to me that the fact you had to pause to that question, you know? It's like, do you want to change for the better, almost is another way to phrase it even. And it's like, you have to go, I don't know, because he's so far deep down his like rabbit hole that to pull himself out and change internally could rapture everything he's built up to be, right? It could totally fracture everything he's created, his career, the way he trains, the way he sees the world. It might hinder his performance. It's a risk that is dangerous. And he's saying, I like myself now. I don't want to change this. And that might not be the best thing, right? Change might be good for him, but he's so far down there, it's like this, maybe it's not worth fixing myself. It's like, holy crap.
Or is this something that your life has shaped you to be? I don't think that's an either or question. I think both are true. So I think you've been shaped this way, for better or for worse. And can you change it? Absolutely. But I think in order to change it, you have to do something that you really don't want to do, which is that you have to like schedule your CEO meetings during the week. Right? And I think what's really holding you back is I don't really, and this could be me being ignorant, right? So I really don't know what your team functions like, but I understand the inside of, I think, a few professional law organizations. And I've seen this a lot. Like I've seen this everywhere. Like I've seen this in investment banking. And I just don't think physiologically that like not taking a day off in 4 months leads to the best performance.
Would you? This is kind of separate from the whole conversation and more practical, but for me, I'm really balancing, like, do I want to have some more free time in my day-to-day, in my work days, or do I want to have more workload in the work days and then have this day off that I can kind of call mine?
I think that's
Do you think?
wrong way to think about it.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I think it's going to be challenging, but and I think the real thing is that your real barrier, I think, is actually emotional. Because I think that, like, you don't want to feel weak. Like, you want to feel like you're not letting people down. Like, the possibility, I think I know it sounds weird. You know, like, if you set a limit on how much you do and, like, you let your team down as a result, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just feel awful.
Why?
Just because, yeah, I don't know. I think they deserve better. I think
What do you deserve?
work has always been just a big part of my life.
Sure.
So I would probably feel it's always been my North Star to kind of do better at. I don't even really call it work, but I would do better as a player, better as a kind of a part of this team. So if I was to not put in my full effort, I think I would probably lose kind of part of who I am or my identity.
Yeah, so I think that's a challenge. So, Soren, I'm going to talk about something, and I don't know if is this useful? Is this conversation useful to you? I mean, would you rather be crying right now? Because we can make that happen.
No, I mean, I had a few opportunities to cry, but laughed it off instead.
I mean, I feel like this is really important because I think, like, so a lot of times when I work with people who are very successful, like, we talk about letting go of ambition. And they sort of say, like, it's ambition that's gotten me this far. Like, I don't understand. Like, if I let go, so, like, a good example is like I work with a lot of people in investment.
Not gonna lie, that's how I feel. I was actually recently told that I need to let go of, trying to min-max everything, and because it leads me nowhere, right? So you got to just do what you love, and that's kind of why I'm doing this right now. I love to talk about therapy and helping people in real problems. I know it seems to not be a popular thing. I don't even think I have any viewers right now, anyone who's lurking. If I do, thank you for watching still. But, like, it's like, this is what's important in life, and this is what's important to me. It's like, and this actually helps people to listen to these things. And it's hard to get, especially young people. It's really hard to get young people to understand the importance of, like, mental health, because it's like they don't understand. Like, if I had the fucking tools with mental health to deal with when I was, a teenager, I would be, who knows, I might be a better person today. Who knows, right? It's like, man, it's like they don't even know. It's like teens don't even know what's going on around them until they get older and find out from someone else's experience how not normal, but like how common this phenomena is, and it's not normal, and it should be seen as this way, and it's actually not good for you, right? It's like, this is what these Dr. K interviews do. It opens up the world of possibility, and what, it just takes off the hat off the horse. I don't know. I just made up a saying, but it kind of just, reveals something that we don't even realize. And it just sucks that, as a teenager, your attention span is so small, and what you care about in the world doesn't matter until it hits you hard, right? But, in life, you got to learn the hard way, I guess. I don't know.
Banking. And so these people work really, really hard. Like, they work crazy hours. It's like big deals, like $100 million deals, $1 billion deals. And they sort of, like, it's always like, there's always more to do. There's always a promotion. There's always another deal. And it's ambition that's gotten them this far. And so they get really, really concerned that if I let go of my ambition, like, I'll be nothing. Like, this is who I am. Right? Like, you're someone who, like, Soren, I think you're never gonna be weak again. Like, to hell with that. Like, you would never put yourself in that situation. I think that the challenge here is that, if you look at the physiology of performance, and there's been a lot of work on this kind of stuff, like having high levels of cortisol a stress hormone, which I imagine is going to be higher in your system when you're working for 4 months without a break, is going to lead to less creative decision making. So when cortisol is floating around in your system and adrenaline is floating around in your system, these are stress hormones that we release more of when we work way too much. It actually reduces your capacity for creative thinking. Because when the way that our brains evolved, like when our fight or flight system is involved, like we don't want creative thinking. Like when I run into a tiger in the woods, I don't want to think creatively. Like my body needs to act. So like nuance gets lost and everything becomes black and white. And I don't think, and it's interesting because we started off talking about sort of this feeling of autopilot and awareness that decays throughout the season. And you say to me like, oh yeah, we have it at the beginning. I can think creatively, but then we fall into the grind. I think it's absolutely physiologically or neuroscientifically mediated. Because literally as the season advances, your brain is going to change. And so I know this sounds absolutely insane, but
okay, this is something for me to really take home from, because I did not know cortisol levels and this type of thing affects creativity, because I found that like when I've had a sense of urgency, and I guess you can see this in comedians or people who try to force funny. I've definitely tried to force funny on my stream many a times, but I'd like to believe I extinguish it quick, especially when someone out there I'm trying to be funny for tells me, hey, you're kind of being forceful. It's kind of cringe. I'm like, oh shit, thank you for making me realize I'm forcing it. And I got to take like a couple of minutes to stand back and just chill, right? Wow, that actually makes a lot of sense, because I find like my funniest shit tends to be when I just don't care and I'm enjoying myself, right? And when you're trying to like be someone successful in like Twitch streaming and shit like that, right? You know, to whatever your extent of success is, it's like you want to get there faster, and there's always a sense of urgency because there's people where I was even watching today. There's people on YouTube who, if you go now on the trending page of fucking, you know, gaming, YouTube gaming, you're gonna see all these like Minecraft YouTubers who have like these teams of editors and shit, and have storylines and fucking this and that and all this. It's like, holy shit, like, what happened to the days of YouTube where you could just turn on a camera, put some good gameplay on, and it's like, that's what it's all about, right? It's like we lose ourselves in this race to like hack the brains of young people just so we can get there faster. You know? It's like we got to trick people into liking us. We got to really make them realize, hey, you like us, act on it. Here's a little nudge so you act on it, and I almost persuade you and influence you and almost manipulate you. Manipulate's a strong word, but like very strongly influence for you to like my content, to fucking subscribe and all that shit, you know? The whole stereotype, the whole meme at the beginning of all these videos nowadays, it's like, hey, you know, 90% of you guys aren't subscribed, better subscribe, you know? And, you know, I don't want to put a harsh judgment on that quote-unquote stereotype meme, because there's a lot of good people that use that, right? There's a lot of good creators that use that. But the point is that it stems from this place of like, here's something that works, here's something that scientifically has been proven, statistically, I should say, not scientifically, to gain more help, right? Or more success. It's like, do this, to the point where everyone's doing a similar thing with a slight variation that, yes, it's different enough, but they all just start to feel the same, right? It's just this I had a problem with this word the other day. Amalgamation of all these fucking people turning into this one being, because there's a bunch of optimal ways to get someone's attention and keep them watching, and to fucking basically influence their brain not against their will, but without them realizing it, right? It's like we've become TV. We've become the industry that we've sought to become technically from the start, right? Everyone wants to make movies when they're younger, before, you know, YouTube and all that stuff. People started making movies on YouTube and all that before that became super viable. You know, you actually have people making films and putting them on YouTube nowadays, but it's like back then, the power, the technology, the thought process, the concept, the workflow wasn't there yet, right? It was all new and fresh, and we're trying to emulate the best we can to the industry, and now we've hit there. And yes, thumbnails have gotten better. Content has technically gotten better, right? People now have intros. They get to the point. There's a story. You know, in a way, there's good that comes out of this. But it really fucks over people who don't really, like me, who don't really notice the big picture there, right? Who don't, the intricacies of all this. And especially for people who, don't realize, I said I was one. Anyways, point being, a lot of people are going to try and be Twitch streamers, try to be YouTubers, and do not realize or see this part of it and just fucking kill themselves of trying to be the best and not seeing results, not understanding why. Am I good enough? Then putting their self-esteem in their work, right? It's so toxic, this positive growth outcome that's come from this, toxic productivity. Look, see, it kind of came full circle, right? But yeah, but to differentiate from what we're talking in this talk, Bjergsen is a more deep-seated... I don't know, technically, wait a minute. It could be that like a lot of YouTubers and Twitch streamers have had a similar experience of Bjergsen to an extent, right? Maybe a lot of us have this thing, right? It's like something happened, and it's a similar phenomenon. Not similar, right? Everyone's situation is different, but something happens in general, and then we go on this path because then we see other people do it, success, and it speaks to us for some reason. Why does it speak to us other than the common shallowness of like, oh, that person's famous, I want to be famous. Ooh, that person makes money doing something I do any day. That's easy, I can do that, right? That old argument everyone's been throwing out since the dawn of fucking YouTube and Twitch, right? It's absolutely insane where all this takes you. And I think it was really useful to hear from Dr. K that like being in the sense of urgency, which I've been told, and it's like you're in a state of urgency all the time, and that's probably why you're not making good work and probably why you're not progressing. You're constantly in a state of fog of I need to do something, but being in that state of I need to do something inhibits your ability to create something to do. It's a paradox, right? It's a self-defeating prophecy. Anyways, let's get back into the actual interview. My rant is over.
But like when I talk to these people and I'm like, yeah, you don't need to be striving for a promotion to be doing your best work. And they're really confused because they think that like, if I'm not striving for a promotion, I don't know how to work. And the beautiful thing is that oftentimes they wind up in my office because, things need to change. And then we kind of get to the point where I teach them how to let go of their ambition, and they do wonderfully. Because I think it sounds kind of weird, but there are like other reasons for you to work than ambition. And there are things that you can do, like your loyalty to your team, not wanting to let them down, needs to be separated from your personal feelings of weakness. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Dr. K is essentially saying in that last part, you need to separate yourself from your, the part of, I don't let your teammates down. You need to separate that from your own personal, fear of like being not good enough. You need to separate those two things. You have this problem. You're attaching it to this objectively reasonable thing to think about, but it's hindering you. It's like, that's a good thing to think about. Don't let people down. But when that's being connected, that's being, what's the word? It's like being like a fungus, being attached and sticking to something that's deep rooted in you negatively. That's wrong. When it starts hurting yourself, when a positive thing starts hurting yourself, you got to look at, wait, what's happening here? Where's the connection? Why is this positive thing turning into a negative, right? It's like, you got to separate that. That's when you can't do that. That's when you have a problem, when you're turning the positive into a negative, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, I can't say I know how to do that, but
yep.
I understand.
So, and that's why we're not going the crying route, because I'd like to teach you today. And for everyone else who like beats themselves up to try to be something. Because there's a huge difference between not letting your team down and you feeling personally weak. And I know it sounds kind of bizarre, but there's a hypothesis, I don't know if this is right or wrong, that you letting go of your feelings of weakness will actually will allow you to be the best coach for your team.
I agree. I definitely feel like, I don't know if this is related, but sometimes I definitely do feel like I'm too focused and worried about myself when I should really be putting all my focus on the players and helping them.
That's really tricky because you're going to you're going to find any reason to beat yourself up. So like, I take that with a grain of salt, right? Okay. I think the number of ways in which you have thought through that you can be better is tricky because I think that's the problem. On the one hand, you're absolutely correct. But on the other hand, like, why aren't you good enough?
Was that an actual question?
Yeah.
Why am I not good enough?
Yeah.
I don't really think I have an answer to that.
Do you feel not good enough?
Mm. I mean, it just goes kind of back to the beginning, right? I feel like I can be better. I feel like I'm learning.
Do you need to be better?
Yeah.
Why?
To serve my team and my players better.
Can I think about that for a second?
Sure.
So Bjergsen kind of tried to think of a solution of what Dr. K was trying to tell him, yet he found himself stuck inside of his own loop again, and Dr. K just saw this, and so Dr. K is trying to think of another thing to put this back on the right track, right? He tried to show him the light. He went with it. Oh, hey, thanks for the sub. Hey, Jane, welcome to the stream. Hope you had a good day, good week. Hey. Thank you for the Prime sub, my friend. Very, very much appreciate that. And I always appreciate a Prime sub. I appreciate any sub, but I prefer people do Prime subs so they're not spending their actual money. If you do, that's more of an honor to me. Thank you. But Prime subs are free, right? So if you could send them my way, that's appreciated, and no one loses anything, really. So it's nice that way. So thank you, Jane. I don't know if you'll be into this stream. We're doing a mental health stream. Basically, I'm listening to a Dr. K interview with Bjergsen, who is a popular League of Legends MLG player. His problem, he has toxic productivity. We're an hour into the interview. Basically, we're just trying to get him to, at this point in the conversation, Dr. K is just trying to get him to like separate his internal fear of feeling weak and not good enough, that he's festered over the years from being young, bullied, blah, blah, blah. He's just trying to get him to separate that from his work life, because everything his work has been based on is running away from that version of himself he was when he was a kid and feeling weak. So his whole career has been built on, I'm good at League of Legends, I'm going to keep working on League of Legends, but I'm getting so good and practicing so much that I'm not enjoying life anymore. It's like he's running away from himself so much that it's causing bad things, right? It's just not making him feel good anymore. So basically, Dr. K is trying to like get him to, go around that, discover himself, see that he could still solve that insecurity with himself, or at least cope with it, while not attaching that to his work life, right? So then work could possibly be fun again, or whatever the outcome is going to be that Dr. K is helping him get to be. So that's where we're at.
Let me put it this way. And I don't know how much progress we're going to make here. Are you enough for your team?
The way that I am?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
How would you know if you were?
I don't think I would know, which is why I say I don't think so. I don't know for a fact.
Right? So what if I told you, I'm going to say something. And I want to know what your instinctive reaction is to these words. You're enough for your team. You're exactly what your team needs in the way that you are in this moment. You don't need to be any better than what you are.
So what Dr. K is trying to do is basically, by saying he's good enough, seeing if he has a positive or overwhelming reaction to this. Because if he does, then that means that, it helps him see that it's like really affected his work. That just shows that how much of the connection he's accidentally making of his personal fear of himself feeling weak versus his coaching and his team and these external things, right? So let's see what he says.
It's hard for me to believe that.
That's a very sugar-coated response.
Yeah, I'm very surprised he came up with that answer. I'm surprised he didn't have the positive reaction of like, oh, that felt really good, and he almost could have teared up or something, right? It's like, I see why he's saying he's sugarcoating it, because it's like, well, I can't believe that, because then he's probably trying to block some sensitive emotions here by saying that. Let's see where it goes.
What did you think? What were you thinking what did you think and feel as I said those words?
What did I think and feel? That it was very nice of you, but that you don't really know.
There.
Because you don't know how I work. You don't see my work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if I did see, what would I notice? What is it that I don't know about you, Soren, that you do?
I mean, I don't even know yet. Of course, there are a lot of things that I know I can do better, and then there's the things that I'm kind of yet to discover.
Yeah, so this is tricky, but I'm going to try to say this one more time. Like, if I knew you the way that you know yourself, Soren, what's the difference? Right? Because I can tell that, like, when I said that, what I saw in your eyes was, this guy has no fucking idea what he's talking about. Right? So tell me what I don't know.
What do you not know?
What are you?
I don't really know how to answer that question.
Not knowing how to answer that question is different from, like, there's something I'm missing, right? Because for me to say that, it's like ignorance. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah. I mean,
so educate me.
educate you?
What am I ignorant of? What part of you don't I understand? What am I missing?
Well, I'm thinking more in relation to my work, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just I feel like I can always do more, and I can always work harder. Which is maybe not what you want to hear, but
Yeah, so I think that what we're getting into is a conflict, because I think I think you have to unsugarcoat it to be able to say it. So let me
I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm just
I don't think you are. I think it's just going to be tough, right? So maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but like,
yeah.
I can tell. So the reason that I said that is because I know you're going to have, like, when I said, like, I think you are enough, right? Like, I think you're fine by your players. By the way, have you ever talked to your players about whether they feel like you're letting them down?
No.
What do you think about having a conversation like that?
Yeah, I don't really know. I feel like most of them would just be really nice about it.
What does that mean, be really nice about it?
Dr. K is trying to catch him in his language and his beliefs. So when he says, "Oh, I think they'd just be really nice about it," that implies that, like, they'd probably be nice about it, which in other words sounds like he's saying, "Oh, they probably wouldn't tell me what they really think about me because I know what they really think about me." But that's irrational. That's bullshit. How do you know what someone actually thinks of you until they tell you, right? You don't know. These are assumptions he's believing and making, right? So.
Oh, sorry. I need to answer a message from my manager. Okay. I think if I was to ask a question like, am I letting you down? I think that obviously if someone was to ask me that, it would kind of seem like they need reassurance. So I would probably give them reassurance. Maybe I would, yeah, I guess that's just how I feel.
Okay. So, how would they signal to you if they really thought you were not letting them down? What could they say to you that would convince you that they think you're doing a fantastic job and they're happy to have you?
It's funny because it seems like Bjergsen is having a hard time finding it because it's somewhat this might actually help him realize that there will be nothing they could say to convince him, and that will make him realize, wait, how can that be? How could there be nothing for someone to say something nice about me that I'll believe it? There's a problem here, right?
Do you mind repeating that?
Yeah, so like how would they signal to you? So like let's say, so here's what okay, let's just take a step back, start from the top, okay? So it's my belief that you have a sense of inadequacy that keeps you striving to be the best, but is personally like tortures you. Like, I think it's got to be like a hard way to live your life where you wake up like somewhat content. You're like, let me sleep in. And then you see that skull. And the skull is like, fuck you. Get out of bed. Weakling?
Basically not letting him be comfortable with wasting time and enjoying his time.
Right? You're like, on the days that I'm really tired, I look at the skull and it reminds me that I need to be better and that I'm not good enough. And so, okay, fine. So then I turn to you and I say something absolutely idiotic, which is, Soren, I think you're fantastic just the way that you are. And you're like, this fucking guy, that's his job. He sees the best in everyone, right? It's his job to like accept people, but he doesn't understand. Right? Totally understand. Like, that's fair. It's completely fair. I don't know you, bro. I'm missing something. It's my job to see the best in everyone. And there's like something in you that is clearly not the best. Fine. I accept that too. Because I don't know you. You're right. Then I ask you, so fill me in. Tell me, help me understand what it is about you that I don't know. You have a lot of trouble answering that. Because there's like, if we think about it, like, you can't protest against my statement unless there's something like, because your protest is like quite strong. And so I think that like, it's like Pit Soren down there that's like, you didn't see me when I got tossed over the fence into the kindergarten. And then you had to like walk through the fucking kindergarten back to your school. Like, you know, like, that's pathetic, man. And
felt that way, yeah.
Yeah, right? So I think that like leaves a scar. And I think this is the scar that we're running up against. And now we get into a real problem because your adaptation to that scar is responsible for your success. It's the work ethic. It's the constant feeling that you could be better. And like
the career in life that he's built that's successful is all rooted and based around the foundation of running away from his true self. So if he makes peace with his true self, that could like I've said earlier in this interview, that could rapture his whole reality. It's so risky. It's like he doesn't know what's going to happen to himself if he loves himself again.
Like, that's what's gotten you to where you are. And so, fair. I don't know your team. I don't know League of Legends. I'm a noob. Fine. I don't know you. Fine. Right? Because the response that I heard when I said, I think you're good enough, is you don't know me. Like, you don't really know. You don't know what you're talking about. Fine. So there's something there about you that is not good enough. Fine. So then let's turn to someone who does know, right? Like, because your teammates know. Like, they're your teammates. Like, they know whether you're doing a good job. They know whether you're doing enough. And then we get to the real crux of the problem is that, like, if you go to them and you say, like, am I doing enough? Like, what are they going to see? They're going to see someone who's weak, who needs reassurance. And they're going to say, yeah, no, so Soren, you're doing great, man. Oh, man. you're so handsome, you're so smart, right? Like that's like you feel like you're gonna be like now I'm almost getting like they're gonna put you in the special school all over again. Like they can't give it to you straight. And so the two things that I'd point out to you is first, like, how would you know? Right? If they actually did think that you did an awesome job. And that like because I can almost.
That is a really important thing he's pointing out right now. It's like, how would you know what they think if you never ask them, right? It's like you're living in your own world and you're scared of the reality because you think the reality might be good. Like, do you see how crazy that sounds?
I'm pretty sure if I had the opportunity to talk to them, this is what they'd say. That your work ethic is amazing. That you're an inspiration.
To keep himself running away to let himself run away from himself is to not ask people's real opinions. Because if he knows the real opinions, then again, it might start to shatter what everything he's built and what he's founded his whole career on, right?
And that like they're really optimistic because like you're on their team. And that they think you're doing a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would give you 10-1 odds that that's what they would say. And now the problem is like, now I'm going to point out to you like where the problem is like, how are you going to know? Like, how are you going to know if you're enough? Even if they tell you, if I tell you, like, no, as many people as you want to can tell you. But as long as that voice is there.
If you never have a target, you'll never miss. It's like, if you don't have a goal in life, you'll never fail, right? If you don't find out what they think of you, you can live your life thinking whatever you want.
Discounting and all of the signals that get sent.
Oopsies, I'm going to go back 5 seconds. I accidentally muted it.
Discounting and undermining everything, all of the signals that get sent your way, this is not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm talking about is like a radical change. This is reshaping who you are. It's like accepting that you actually are enough today and you can do more tomorrow. Don't worry, you don't have to let go of being better tomorrow. But what I want you to do is let go of like feeling fundamentally not good enough. Because I suspect that like in other parts of your life too, you know, and I don't know how much to read into you said ex-girlfriend, but you know, in other parts of your life too, like I'm afraid that there may be situations where you are actually fully adequate, but you don't feel that way.
That is actually on point, yeah. In my relationship, I often felt like I was not, or I felt like she was dissatisfied with me a lot, even though then she would tell me, I am satisfied with you, but maybe like there's this thing or this thing, but those things would hit me very hard.
So this is what I see in people who like have what you have, is that they become self-fulfilling prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
So like when someone feels inadequate in a relationship, their partner will tell them, no, I actually really like being with you. But their mind will latch on to the 10% of what their partner says instead of the 90%. I really do want to be with you. And of course you're not perfect. And then your mind is like, there it is. Let's shove aside the 90% of contentment and zero in on the 10%. And it actually becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Mm-hmm. We see this as well in people who have a fear of abandonment, where like they think like they tell their partner, or they're afraid that their partner is going to leave them. Partner's like, no, I'm not going to leave you. Like, I like being in this relationship. And they're like, you're going to leave. Like, no, I'm not. And then like they tell them like, you're going to leave. I know you're going to leave. You didn't text me back. Who are you with? You're going to leave me. You're going to leave me. You're going to leave me.
I have also had that in a relationship, and I did end up leaving her.
Right? And it's like it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I think like Soren, you're playing a rigged game, man. And it all like it doesn't matter like who you hear it from, how qualified they are. Like even if you heard it from the CEO, you're like, he doesn't know, right? Like if your CEO is like,
if you're worried about not being good enough all the time, you will not be good enough. If you don't worry about not being good enough all the time, you will actually have time to be good enough. Or you are good enough, right? It's like that's what he's saying about the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Hey, Soren, I think you're doing a fantastic job. Like, you'd be like, he doesn't see what I do day to day. That voice is always... Do you see the voice that I'm talking about that's just, like, always there?
Yeah.
So do you want that to change? Is that voice a bad thing?
I guess my worry is if I don't have that voice. I always had the feeling that if I ever...
I have a feeling he's going to say if I didn't have that voice, then I'd be lazy, or I would take more days off than I should be, and then I'd fall behind and lose, well, I guess everything ultimately in the end. So I'm going to assume he's about to say.
Lost my drive. That I just shouldn't be in this line of work. Because this line of work is like striving to be the very, very best. And you have to make sacrifices to do that. So I guess part of my worry is if I was to lose that, I don't think I would find as much joy out of this work. And then I would have to find something else to do. And I don't know what that would be.
So,
Ding, 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 ding. I am a winner.
I disagree with that completely. So I understand where you're coming from. It just hasn't been my experience at all. So can I try to convince you for a moment?
Sure.
So, I get what you're saying, that like this voice is what drives you forward, right? And this is why I asked you at the very beginning, and you asked me too. You were like, is this a bad thing? Then I asked you, do you want to get rid of it? And I don't think you do. And that's the problem. So like when I ask you, like, do you want to be fulfilled? I don't think you do. Like, I think that anytime you have like I don't see you like ever relaxing. Like even when you win, right?
I'm really afraid of complacency because I've been playing. I had, and I could have continued to play if I wanted to. I won the North American season before I chose to go into coaching. And I played professionally for, I think, 8 years, and I saw just so many players find success and then become comfortable, and then eventually stop playing because they kind of lost their drive.
And I understand that. So I think, though, Soren, you're not them. I'm not worried about you losing your drive. And I actually think that like the best performance you're going to see, by all means grind, by all means work a lot. Like I'm not telling you to like not work. But I think that the best, like literally like neuroscientifically and like optimizing performance wise, when you're operating from a place of like positive energy and positive emotion, you're actually going to outperform what you're capable of with like negative energy and negative emotion.
I do want to say I feel like before COVID I was closer to that, living a kind of more balanced lifestyle. I think COVID has definitely maybe brought out the worst in that because we were also in a really strict bubble system in order to stay safe, right? So I was only at my apartment and at the office. I didn't see any friends for 6 months. Well, even longer, obviously. So it's just kind of all my time has really gone into working, which probably strengthens these feelings.
So that makes me think even more so that like letting go of some of these feelings is going to be a step forward for you. Because if in a high stress environment, these feelings are getting worse, like generally speaking, like depression and anxiety and all that stuff is getting worse during COVID. Mm-hmm. So it's not like your optimal function. It's like, it's almost like a coping mechanism. It's like your internal cheat code to keep working.
Mm-hmm.
And something tells me that like I'm not saying slack off, but I don't think you're gonna slack off. I don't think we have to worry about you slacking off. Like, I don't think that if this changed in you emotionally, I think there's too much programming in your brain. Your neurons have wired a certain way to where you're not gonna just like wake up and do nothing. Like, it's just not who you are. And
then what's gonna change then, or what could change then?
It's a good question. So I think that like I was saying, there are a couple of feelings that are tangled up here. One is like striving to be the best.
I think there's a thing Dr. K is scared of, even for helping him right now, because there might be actually some truth to the fact that, like, if he's saying he's on autopilot working at this game constantly, not feeling joy anymore, and then we find out that it's all rooted in this him, he's running away from himself, from being not good enough, it's like him fixing this could actually confirm that he will not want to be a League of Legends pro anymore and actually will dismantle that. But the problem is that, like, that's a negative, but it might lead to a positive, right? He might do that on his own behalf because it's better for him, and he might find something better for him as a career-wise, right? But that's very risky, especially with COVID times nowadays, with trying to get a job and a career and blah, 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 and meeting people. It's like, if he knows that for a fact and it will make him happier, that's scary to run from security of a job he just gained in this top tier of legal. It's a scary thing to better yourself in his situation. It's
Best. One is not wanting to let your team down, and the third is like feeling weak or inadequate. What I'm saying is that I don't think that all three of those have to like go together. Right? Like, you can care about your teammates, you can want to not let them down, but also recognize that like you are good enough. That together as a team, you guys can actually do this. That you don't have to worry, like, you shouldn't be worrying about like whether you're good enough or not. Like, you've got no headspace for that. You should be focused like fully on your team. Like you said, you kind of think a little bit about yourself too much. Because I know it sounds weird, but I mean, if we're talking about self-fulfilling prophecies in relationships, that could happen in the professional space too. And the real problem here, at the end of the day, Soren, I think the real problem is that you can't ever know what's right and what isn't. Right? Like, you can't ever know like what's going to be enough. If I tell you you're not going to listen, if your teammates tell you that you're not going to listen. So like, if there was some objective measure of your enoughness, then I'd say this is a whole different ballgame. But in the absence of that, like, your mind is always going to tell you that you're not enough. It's not enough, that you need to be better. And you can love your teammates, you can want to like lead them to victory. But like, being fundamentally faithless in yourself, which I'm using like exaggerated language here, is like not going to be. And now we're falling into another trap, because now I'm telling you that you need to be better. But like, fundamentally believing that you are good enough, fundamentally believing that you are what your team needs, can lead to hubris or pride or complacency. But I think in your case, at the highest levels of performance, Soren, I think it starts to become maladaptive. That for 99% of the road, the work ethic that you've got and the emotions that you've got and feeling not good enough is going to get you 99% of the way there. But if you want to walk that last step, you have to let go of this. What do you think?
I agree, and I have come up maybe against these kinds of things with a therapist, and they're just so deeply rooted that I don't know where to begin.
Okay. So we can. I'm glad you see a therapist. By the way, that's good. So let me now let's do this together. Okay. So if you're with me, like, I don't have an answer for you, so we're gonna have to figure this out together. Okay. What do you think about that?
Sure.
I
don't know what it entails, but
okay.
I am open to it.
Okay. So let's think about the conundrum. So here I am telling you that you need to accept yourself more and that you are good enough. Right?
Yeah.
And,
Really feeding into my thing that you're telling me that if I change something, I can be even better.
yeah, exactly. So that's the problem. So what do we do about that? Because even if I try to tell you to move in the right direction, I'm actually falling into your trap. You're the one who's trapped me.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly have no idea where to begin.
Well, so
I was coming up at a point where I was learning more so to kind of accept and understand myself rather than trying to change.
Yeah. So then I think that sounds right. But then I guess then I have a practical answer for you, but I just want to appreciate the conundrum that we're in here, which is that either you accept yourself where you are and then you don't strive to be better, which is sort of, I guess, winning, or I'm telling you, hey, like, you need to learn how to accept yourself, which is like, you don't, does that make it? It's like, it doesn't, we're stuck, right? So if we truly accept you, then what we should say is, Soren, you should continue not accepting yourself. That is acceptance.
Yeah.
Right? And then if we say, like, Soren, you need to learn how to accept yourself.
That was very convenient for me.
Right? So, or I can say, Soren, you need to learn how to accept yourself, which is in and of itself not accepting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So we're stuck. So the good news is that there's actually like a really simple way to move forward, and I think you're well along this path. The first is just to notice the absurdity of what we're talking about. It's dumb. The whole thing is unsolvable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I know it sounds kind of weird, but every time you notice that feeling in you that you need to be better, and then if you move towards saying like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, that's wrong. And if you blindly follow it, that's wrong too. So like what we really need is simply just awareness to recognize that like either path we go down is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we don't go down a path, like what do? Like if I'm not moving, like, so you're saying if I walk down this path, it's wrong. If I walk down this path, it's wrong. So what are my options then?
I don't know.
It's weird. So do nothing with awareness, right? Just notice. I know it's weird, but just like notice the conundrum within you. And on a much more practical level, there are going to be times in your life where you're going to feel like taking, an hour off to meet with the CEO. You're going to feel weak, like you should be able to handle it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like throughout your week, very practically, there are going to be times where you feel weak, where you feel inadequate, where you're afraid of holding everyone back. And so a lot of your actions and your schedule has been structured based on those negative emotions of fear and inadequacy and things like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be tough for you, Soren. It's going to be very hard. But don't give in to those negative emotions. Right? And what I mean by that is notice that like if you schedule a meeting with your manager during practice, you're going to feel like you're letting your team down. And this is where, like, honestly, what I would recommend, I'm going to give you like a very simple, straight playbook. So you go to your team and you should have a conversation with them about, hey, we meet for practice 8 hours a day. I have some other obligations as coach. I've got to meet with this person and this person. How would you all feel about me taking some of those meetings in the middle of practice and then like the assistant coach? Like, how would you guys feel if I missed like an hour or two of practice a day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That sounds extremely uncomfortable.
Yep. There it is. What are you feeling right now?
Mm. Week. Because if I was the player, I would say, don't you have X amount of hours before and after practice to do those things? Why do you need to do it in the middle of practice?
Okay. Sure. So if that's what they say, then you're going to listen to them.
Well, that's what I would tell myself. But yeah.
Right? So and this is where I think you've got to like listen to your team. Right? And say like, do I need to be here? I mean, I'm assuming you don't, how many hours a week do y'all, I don't want to like ask you too many details about what your practice schedule is and stuff like that, because that could be like competitive information, but I'm assuming that, you guys are basically practicing like 6 days a week.
The schedule is kind of different now, so we have actually 3 match days and then 1 off day, and then we have 3 practice days.
Okay.
During season.
So if it's during season, maybe.
Okay, guys, I'm actually gonna have to pause the session if anyone's lurking. I'm sorry that I'm gonna put a link for the rest of the conversation. Whoever wants to listen to the rest of the interview. I actually can't believe how long we've been doing this. How long has it been? 2.5 hours, roughly. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to go, everybody. It's been good. I hope you've enjoyed this talk and like my well, not integrations, but when you put shit inside of other stuff, what's that called? Anyways, well, integration is the word for now. Anyways, thank you for watching. We will continue this another day, probably on the weekend, just to catch up on this episode, because it's only half an hour left. But commentary. Thank you, Jane, and glad you sticked around. Appreciate that. So, anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna do some VR chat stuff tomorrow, exploring VR chat. So, see y'all then, and cheers. Thanks for watching.